Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Not even supposed to be here today.
I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
Welcome to the party, pal.
I'll be back.
I'll have what she's having.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff. You can either ignore it, or you can help me to stop it.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello, I'm your host, Jim McLean. Welcome back to another episode of the NI Scene, a revamped version of the podcast, where formerly it was just myself and the lovely filmmaker Adam Neeson.
Hey, up.
We are now joined by the even lovelier Joe McElroy.
Hello.
And I'm not quite sure on the scale of loveliness how she compares to Joe McElroy, but Dr. Nicole Hamilton.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so in full transparency for any listeners listening, that this is our third attempt at doing this podcast because we've decided to go completely remotely. I have followed the guidance of the lovely NVTV, who produce our TV show, who have advised us to go through Riverside, who are now also hosting our podcast. But that's too much information you didn't need to know. But on the previous two attempts to do this pod, first time I had internet problems, and the second time I had me problems when I forgot to hit record. And we talked for a good an hour and 20 minutes. So we're going to rush things through. So we're changing it up. We're revamping the podcast ever so slightly, but it's going to be the same old high quality levels of nonsense that you get from the lovely Adam Neeson, like this.
Oh, I have no jokes prepared. Hold on. What do you call? What did one snowman say to the other?
I don't know.
Can you smell carrot?
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than
Adam.
that.
Adam, when were you Comedy Award winner?
2011.
Yeah, 2011. A long time ago. Jokes. Comedy has
still
changed.
the same jokes.
Comedy has changed. Hey, guys, whatever happened to the Spanish pirate who said see too much?
He got glaucoma.
No idea.
He got seasick.
Oh,
He
so
got
close.
seasick. What is the South American pirate's favourite country?
No idea.
I feel like I should have an answer for this, but I really don't.
Kildare. Kildare's not country.
Argentina.
No.
Not Kildare. Not Kildare.
I've got one for you.
Kildare was pretty good.
I got one for you. So a car pulls up to a packet of crisps, and the driver says, "Do you want to lift?" And they said, "No, we're walkers."
Oh, thank you. Nicole, all the pressure's on you. Now you have to, now at this exact moment, show that women can do comedy.
I do not, in fact, do comedy. I just laugh at other people's jokes.
That's the kind of surrealist approach. That
Very
would
sorry.
be that will be well found at the Fringe, I would imagine. Bandaflix next year will be, of course, at the Fringe with this routine. Right, let's move on, get cracking, and talk about some movies and various other things that we have been watching in the past few days. Okay, so first part of the show, we're going to talk about what we've been watching generally. It can be a new release, can be a cult classic, might be a TV show, I don't know. And we're not going to talk about it Chris Nolan-esque. It's not going to be if you saw things on the preferred format. If you watched it on your phone, you still watched it. Joe, I'm going to come to you first. What have you been watching of late?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, I've been busy with work. So what I have been doing since it was a lot of like reporting and data entry stuff is I've been having documentaries on in the background. So lately I watched the Aaron Morse documentary, The Fog of War. It's basically an hour and a half interview with him and Robert McNamara where he's like, I did nothing wrong during Vietnam. And then he just exposed himself to say, yeah, I'm a war criminal, which is good fun. And then I watched one today. It was one called George Romero's Resident Evil, about his unmade Resident Evil script. It's not a very well-made documentary, and it's no right being 2 hours long, but there's a lot of cool wee facts in there about the actual, ideas he had for his film.
Okay, because I know I've heard a lot about that. I think, is that going to be on streamers later this year? Or obviously
No,
it could be on streamers already.
Yeah, it's already out in streaming. You can rent it on YouTube and stuff like that. Actually, I think it's on HBO Max. I think. That's the streamer that advertised it, so yeah, you can get it there.
Okay, all right. Adam, what about your good self? What have you been watching?
I watched Scream 4 and then the very next day Hayden Panettiere died, which is terrible. But that's a great performance in that movie from her. Because Scream 4 to me is a nice comfort watch. It's not the best of the franchise, but it's also not the worst, because I'm looking at you, Scream 3. But it's a good like barometer of like Wes Craven still had it even like in his later movies, and that even though it sort of plays the best of hits from the first couple of movies and it's very gory, but that's sort of where horror movies were at the time. It's still a really fun movie, and Emma Roberts, I think Dr. Nicole might agree with me, I think that movie should have ended with Emma Roberts living and the rest of the sequels continuing on with her as Ghostface.
I think that's probably the more interesting ending, but I love Sydney a lot and I don't want her to die.
That's fair enough.
But I remember it was the first Scream movie that I saw in the cinema, and I remember being gobsmacked by that ending. I just thought it was mad and so fun. So I think it actually would have been a really good next movie to do what they were originally planning to do, and have her like go off to college and do whatever the fuck she was going to do, because God only knows.
I'm going to apologise, by the way, listeners. You may hear the lovely Ted, who has decided to come into the studio, and he, like all of us, I think, was really sad about Hayden Panettiere whenever she passed. I was over in Edinburgh. I know we'll talk about that in just a moment. But really sad news about that. And I'm a fan of Scream 4. And I know you've kind of alluded to that, Nicole and Adam. I think that was at one point the idea for the film. The ending for the film is that she would live. And then I think, I don't know if they were going to outright kill Sydney, but I think she was going to leave to or live to give it an option, to give them a clearer cut option to go into Scream 5. I could be wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure that was either Wes or Kevin Williamson's plan. One of them definitely talked about that.
It feels like reshoots when it comes to the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it is a muddled film, but I do like Scream 4, and I know I was more of a fan of it, and then I went back and rewatched it before Scream 5 and Scream 6 and 7. It's Shakespeare compared to 7, but it's fine. It has some good news. I mean, I like Hayden Panеттiere's character in Scream 4 as opposed to when she pops up in Scream 6, when like she talks to is it one of the twins in like a way that no horror fan ever talks to another? It's like Gamesy's game. Yeah. It's like I don't think I've ever talked to a horror person like that. It's like, do you like this film? Yeah. Oh, cool. It's like, oh no, Gamesy game. But that's just me. Scream 4, well worth a watch, and I think given the circumstances. Nicole, what have you been watching?
I saw The End of Oak Street in the cinema on Monday night.
Now, just to clarify, just for the entire group, I did think, now it's because I opened up Letterboxd, I saw a couple of reviews and I misread them. I saw yours, I thought it was Adam's, and I thought it was Joe, and you've all watched that apart from me, and it turns out that it was only Nicole.
Just me. But I would recommend it. I really liked it. I had a good time. I actually didn't even realise it was the director that did It Follows until afterwards. And in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense. Because it is mean, but really fun. I really enjoyed it.
I know the lovely Gavin Moriarty, who's been on this pod on the TV show before, is a big fan. He texted me his excitement after watching the film, and then got equally disgusted when I said I was not a fan of David Mitchell's second feature, Girl in the Silver Lake, which I thought was a bit... It was M. Night Shyamalan ding dong levels of just not for me. And as much as I love Andrew Garfield, it wasn't for me. Any of the other three of you big fans equally unimpressed by it as me?
I love Under the Silver Lake. I think it's really it's a very much a Big Lebowski. What's the Paul Thomas Anderson movie? Inherent Vice. Yeah, it's that sort of like stoner detective LA movie that sort of I like to vibe with.
Okay, well, I did say to Gav I maybe need to go back and rewatch it. I don't know. just at the time, it wasn't for me. As much as I love Andrew Garfield, he's an underrated little Spider-Man. But anyway, as for me, I know the last time the recording that no longer happened. I've seen the new Spider-Man. I thought it was fine. I don't quite see why everyone is kind of thinking it's the best thing ever or the best installment of the franchise. I do think the new director brings some much needed crunch to the action sequences, but and I do like Sadie Sink. I think I love her in anything. She's great in Stranger Things. I know it's pretty much out there now, or it is out there now, who her character plays. I think I said in my own little letterbox review, I think it's a shame we've got to see that character arc probably play out for a third time now on screen with all the kind of Phoenix stuff and Dark Phoenix stuff. That's about as spoilerifically as you'll get. But I thought it was fine. Adam, you've seen Spider-Man. Joe, Nicole, have you yet?
Nope.
I've seen it.
Well,
I
Joe,
will probably see it at some stage. But...
It's not bad.
You're not selling it.
I thought it was alright. There is a nice lull in the middle, and it did have a wee half snooze, which was appreciated because it's a bit of a long film. But you know what? I prefer something like that there over the multiversal stuff of the third one, the something day. I don't know. Is it something day? I can never remember the names of the
No Way Home, isn't it?
Was it?
Yes.
I was way off. I just know Homecoming, and then I always get the other ones mixed up. I just decided to call them Marvel 1, 2, and 3. It's easier to remember. But yeah, I didn't really like No Way Home that much. I thought it was a bit too fan servicey, and it was like, yeah, that's great, and all to see these characters again. But I don't really care about this story that you're telling at all.
Yeah.
Whereas this one had a bit of a stronger story. Kind of liked the lower I know it's still relatively big in terms of scale and that they're a Marvel do, but it's not as over the top as if they've been doing recently with the likes of Spider-Man and other stuff. And I did like the sort of partnership he had with the Punisher in this one. I was kind of curious to see how that would work out, considering the way he's been introduced in the MCU is very R-rated, bloody, and full on, whereas they managed to temper it to more of a 12A audience for this here. And it's always nice to see the Hulk pop up.
Yeah, although I thought the Hulk was probably the most kind of shoehorned in, and I think I said at the time, I think it felt like, I wonder if Marvel have a contractual obligation to make a film that features the Hulk so they don't lose the rights. I don't know. Florence Pugh's in there. I thought she was fine. I just thought the whole stuff, and it's in the trailer, so it's not too much of a spoiler. The arachnid DNA stuff, it was an interesting idea, but it kind of is forgotten pretty much ish by the time the film reaches its finale. And yeah, it's fine. It's fine. There's other films out there. Adam, I think the last time, if I recall on the podcast that is no longer, because we just basically talked online for an hour and 20 minutes. Did you say or not? It was it's fine to play in shit for 2.5 hours or something along that lines.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man, so if there was shit on the wall, I'd still watch it. But I think the Hulk character clearly could have been the Lizard, because it just sets that up to be it's a character that has animal DNA that needs to be controlled, and who in Spider-Man has that? Multiple of his villains. But like I say, the Hulk contractually has to be there. Although he might not be around for much longer in the MCU, while Mark Ruffalo drinks his Palestine cola. But yeah, it's a fun, fine movie. I don't think it's the best Spider-Man movie, but I think it's the best Tom Holland has been in one of these movies.
Yeah, I probably would go that far. And the opening 10-15 minutes when it's just Spider-Man doing low level, or I think as Florence Pugh's character calls it, small potato stuff. That's the stuff I love. I saw that when I was over at Edinburgh for the film festival. Saw a few films. I was there scouting a little bit, possibly for our film festival. Some I liked, some I didn't. There's one I think possibly maybe arriving on Shudder. abandoned kind of pseudo-found footage horror film. A group of urban explorers go into an abandoned building after getting an anonymous tip to go and explore the aforementioned building. What could possibly go wrong?
So did one of the group send out the anonymous tip as an act of revenge and just been killing off the other ones? Imagine that's the plot.
That will be too much of a well, it does. There is we do get some Gribblies. We do get some Gribblies in there, and there's kind of, you can see the nods to the likes of Wreck. You can see the nods to the likes of The Descent, and I think it's fine. I think I said at the time when I did it, and I know at the end of this we'll do all our letterboxed handles, but I think it's 3/4 of a pretty good horror film, but it's just by the time it reaches its finale, the director just is like, let's just throw every single thing we can possibly do on screen in the hope that something gets scared or it'll scare some viewers. I thought it was fine. Faces of Death, just because I've got my program in front of me here, I loosely I'm aware of the original from the 70s on the Video Nasty list. This is not an outright remake. It's kind of, we mentioned Wes Craven there. It's kind of like a postmodern kind of looking at it. It's a reimagining. Basically, without going too much of a spoiler, someone is going out using social media to remake Faces of Death in gory, nasty ways. And we have a Facebook moderator played by Barbie Ferrer, I think, who's from Euphoria. She's in there. Charlie XCX is in there as well in a small role. Again, I got a very brief chance to talk to the directors. I thought it was fine. I thought it was perfectly serviceable. It goes a bit silly, Silence the Lambs by the end. But I think there's fun to be had. Another film I will give a quick shout out to, which I think as we record, because as we're recording this, I think the awards are being announced. Skin Town, locally produced feature all about kind of the rave scene in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, with Jamie Lee from Derry Girls, who I literally bumped into terribly drunk at the screening. I will admit, I went to the film. It's the first time I've ever went to see a film very, very drunk after going to see a couple of Fringe shows. But I really liked it. It's not long. It's an hour and a half. And yeah, it packs a punch. It's good. I would be very unsurprised if it doesn't open or at least screen at the Belfast Film Festival. I would imagine that would be the next place to see it, or possibly the Foyle Film Festival. I will give one caveat. I have, for the first time in about 15, 16 years, walked out of a film for the first time. Bad Day at the Office, starring John Hannah, and I felt really bad because I got a chance to speak to John Hannah, and he's lovely. He's a lovely man. He was in The Mummy, and he's going to be in the next Mummy. But it's a it's an action movie, kind of John Wick. Imagine John Hannah as John Wick, but with a bit of the Bourne identity thrown in. And it's a film told not just from one person's point of view, first person perspective, but 3-4 different people. And it was a midnight screening as part of the Midnight Madness strand. I got about 40 minutes in, and I was like, it is one of the worst films I think I've ever watched in a long, long time. And Joe McElroy, I know you're a fan of the old 4DX screenings.
Oh, I.
They actually offered us, hey, we've got some free tickets to go see Bad Day at the Office in 4DX. Do you want to go? The first time ever I replied, normally I just ignore it. I just email back, no. I don't want to say, I think that would be terrible. But when I was at Cineworld over there, I think you've maybe mentioned this before, Joe, but I see that later this month, Fast and Furious has been re-released with a 4DX screen in the original. So I reckon that's got Joe McElroy written all over it.
It'd be great. You're going to be like robbing old video players and chucking them around the cinema. It'd be great.
Yeah. Look, I'm still not 100% sold on 4DX. Joe is a fan. Adam, Nicole, have you done the 4DX experience extravaganza of fans? Would you recommend it to our listeners to seek it out here in Belfast?
I never have. It kind of scares me. A couple of my friends have been to it. I want to say maybe for not the last Scream movie, maybe Scream 6, and we're getting like stabbed in the back and stuff, and like things sprayed on them, and I was just like, that's not the sensory stuff that I need in the cinema, thanks. So I think I'm probably good.
Yeah, I went and seen Uncharted in 40X, and I was almost sick. And then the chairs started moving.
No. No.
Mark Wahlberg has that effect on people.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg definitely has that effect on my mum. She has always hated him because he's on a show with Michael Fassbender. I think it was Graham Norton, terribly drunk, and didn't let our Michael have a word in, and she still hates him to this day. Now, very quickly, because we will come back, and if there's anything else you want to talk about, we got a chance last week to speak with director Nat Boltt, who some may know from Riverdale. She has a new film out, Holy Days. Pretty impressive ensemble cast with the likes of Jackie Weaver in there and Miriam Margolyes. I got a chance to speak to her over Zoom, and let's play that interview.
Brian Collins, what have you done this time?
Blasphemery, sister.
Blasphemery, eh? Well, that's a serious sin. You better come inside.
We're the last three. Sister Agnes.
Sister Mary Claire. Sister Luke.
We were the centre of this town.
Understand? That's where she came from.
Years on, and he's still no closer to accepting his mother's passing.
I hate you! Get out!
The old ducks have had a good run.
Things are about to change around here.
Tell them what you told me. The bishop sees a convent that's falling to pieces.
Oh, a property developer sniffed us out.
They betrayed us.
The deeds to the convent are in the South Island.
That's where Mum's from. Why don't we just go get them?
So that's a clip of Holy Days, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the film's director, writer, and also featured in the feature, Nat Boltt. Hello to you, Nat.
Hello, lovely to meet you.
Nat, now you're coming to us from lovely Vancouver. We're here in Belfast, so how do things find you as we talk about the feature?
Oh, things find me very well. I'm very lucky to not be part of Canada that is on fire. We have the most horrific wildfires at the moment, thanks to climate change and bad leadership. But besides that, I'm bringing joy to the world through Holy Days, which is a road trip comedy meant to give us a bit of escapism and remind us of the best parts of our childhoods and the best parts of our playful adulthoods.
There you go. It's almost as if you've been on the promo trail for this and you kind of know how to sell the film, because I was going to ask yourself. Now, I hate the phrase. I don't know if it's something you're familiar with. I'm sure you are, but dramedy, because there is a lot of comedy. There's a lot of dramedy here, a lot of drama in there as well. I'm not a fan of the term dramedy. I don't particularly like it, but I guess with a film like this, because there's a lot of heart in there, there's a lot of talks about big things, big themes between the faith. Of course, you're going to get that when you have, I'm looking at the poster behind us here, of course you're going to have the theme. You've got nuns, you've got youth, you've got family, all those kind of themes are all in there front and centre. So take us back to New Zealand, 1974, I think, if I'm getting that correct from memory. I don't have my notes in front of me. So take us back. Tell us as much as we need to know, as our viewers and our listeners need to know going in to see Holy Days.
All right, so yeah, I mean, the synopsis is it's a little boy who can't get over the fact that his mother has died. It's only been a short while. And his dad has got a girlfriend who he is interested in marrying, and this sets the little boy off on a complete rage. And in acting out, he runs to the local convent, and where there are the last three of the dinosaurs, as they call themselves. And he hangs out there because it makes him feel safe and closer to his mum, his dear departed mum. And then they discover that they're about to lose this place that is their sanctuary, all of their sanctuary, and that sets them on the road to trying to find the one person who can save their convent. And, you know, this is really interesting because it's based on what's been happening a lot. In fact, it's been in the news several times where these beautiful old properties are being earmarked by developers, and developers try to snatch them and push and in this case, the sort of clergy off the land. And so, yeah, it's kind of relevant, even though it's set in 1974. last year there were 3 nuns in Austria that were forced out of their convent and then posted on social media so much that they were allowed to go back. In fact, they got some of the community to break them back into their convent, and then I think the local bishop asked them to please stop posting on social media, which they said they would not. So
this is the power of social media.
It is. And if they had it in 1974, maybe they would have used it. But instead, it became the subject of a book by Dame Joy Cowley, who's the author of the book that I based the film on. And it's about finding your voice as people who feel like they're voiceless. So little boy, nuns that have been safe in their sort of cloistered existence, and then being forced out into the world to defend themselves. And what happens along the way. And so going back to your point about dramedy, I don't like the term dramedy either, because in my experience, back in New Zealand when I was first getting into writing and making content or making film and TV, the word dramedy was kind of used if you didn't want to fully commit to something. It's sort of a little bit safe and a little bit beige. And that is not what Holy Days is. It just happens to have comedy and drama, but it doesn't make it sort of somewhere in the fuzzy middle. Yeah. You've seen it. And so, most people would not describe it as that. In fact, I use comedy to offset the drama and then the other way around, and to surprise people just as the audience is feeling, that they know what's going to happen or that they're feeling a little too comfortable. Then I flip it into either something that shocks them out of their smile or makes them laugh out of their sadness, and that for me is, it's what I loved about my favorite films.
Yeah, because comedy is that great way. Comedy has that great way of disarming us, and we let our shields down. We find ourselves getting involved and emotionally involved with these characters. And then when the sadder moments, the tougher moments hit, I guess there's that more of an impact, I guess. I wanted to come because there will be people listening to this will probably be coming to this with knowing from yourself from Riverdale, the Netflix TV show, Netflix show serial that's been on. I know it is now wrapped. This is your feature debut. Looking through, I think you directed 1 or 2 episodes of Riverdale. I know you've done some shorts. This is your feature debut. How did this project become, and I guess from coming at this from both a writing point of view, from a directing, I ask loads of questions. I apologize that I throw everything at you and hope it sticks.
And I'm just going to go, okay, I'm going to try and connect all these dots.
So how did this project become your feature debut? I guess you've mentioned it's based on a book, the source material. Did you come to this as a fan of the book and something that you wanted to work, or was this a case of just welcome coincidences of things kind of doors opening at the right time?
So what happened was I was in New Zealand and I had realized that I wanted to do more than just act. I wanted to write and direct as well. And I made my first short film called The Silk, which was by Dame Joy Cowley, the same author. And it was extremely successful. It was extremely difficult. And it made me realize that, it's really humbling to become a filmmaker, which is what I wanted as an actor. I wanted more challenge. But it did really well. And so I said to her, why don't I make a feature film of one of your novels? And she said Holy Days is visually the most interesting. And so I adapted it. It took me 3 months to adapt. It was really, really difficult, but there it was. And no one would read it. It was really, really difficult to get anybody to look at it because your debut feature, and I understand that now, people, are always saying, hey, you had the success. Can you read my feature? And you kind of think, wow, that's a big commitment to read 100 plus pages. So, people kind of go, well, I don't know you and you have no track record, and therefore they just kind of put it in a drawer. So what happened was I then came over to Canada. My husband was working on Planet of the Apes. He's a VFX guy. And instantly fell in love with Vancouver and was allowed to audition here. Auditioned, second audition was Riverdale, got Riverdale. So suddenly you're going from New Zealand to Canada. and you're on a show that's a massive hit. I mean, massive. There wasn't a young adult show like Riverdale on air anywhere. And every single person on that show, myself included, got a huge social media following. And it was that social media following that got me connected to a producer who said, oh, could you help me and promote my trailer, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I will do that, but I would need you to read my script. And they went, okay. And they did. And they went, oh, this is really good. And I said, yes, it is. And so, this takes years. This is for any filmmaker. They'll be nodding going, it's ridiculous. You think you have to just write a good script. But actually, that's step number one. Then you have to get people to read it. And so as Riverdale progressed and the film gradually started finding ways of financing it and and finding the cast, Riverdale became a bigger and bigger hit. And, somebody said, why don't you get your directing chops in order? And I did the Warner Brothers directing program. And then from there directed on Riverdale. And so I was just honing my craft. And then I think by the time we wrapped 2023 with the end of Riverdale was when the film got its financing. So this is, it's many years. And, this is the process of getting your first film made. It's a long haul. So you can't just be sitting on the one project. I was writing more films, more TV series, and I was still acting and I was honing my craft. That's how all of that happened.
It's a phrase Simon Brew from a podcast I listen to always uses. It's a miracle that any movie gets made. And I guess there's no pun intended when we're talking about Holy Days in that sense, but it's an uphill challenge to kind of get that mothball of an idea and kind of eventually into the feature that is, as we said at the start, is going to be hitting cinemas here in Northern Ireland from the 14th of August. I wanted to ask as well, because I know your time is precious. You have a pretty impressive ensemble. You've got some famous faces, and I'm trying to think of the phrase, because I know there is the phrase for a nun's garment and not clothing, but
habit.
That's the word. Of course, I'm trying to think of Sister Act, back in the habit. There we go. But you got, and I'm looking at the poster behind me here. You've got Judy Davis, you've got Miriam Margolyes, and you have, of course, Jackie Weaver, who I adore. I think Jackie Weaver, for me, I would quite happily read me the phone book, I guess is the phrase we use. But those are some, I guess, some big names. You're also in this as well, because you haven't stepped away from behind the camera completely. Was that a conscious decision for yourself?
Well, that is a case of once you've started making films, you realize how difficult it is. And acting is like a holiday. You learn your lines, you try not to trip over the furniture, and that's all you have to do that day. Whereas with writing and directing, it doesn't stop. You're always just freaking out on the inside because it's just go, go, go. You have to have all the answers to all the questions for all the departments. And then when your day finishes, you have to go home and rewrite your scenes for the next day because everything changes every single day. Yeah. So for me to step in and play Liz, the girlfriend the little boy is trying to block, was an easy decision in terms of budget. A more difficult decision in terms of what that means on a day when I'm directing and running around like a blue-ass fly, as they would say in South Africa and probably Australia, and then putting wigs and makeup on, jumping in front of the camera, doing your performance, and then ripping it all back off again. It's complicated. And then I was with these incredible actresses that you just mentioned. And they're all top of their game, just sort of every award under the sun, all from very different backgrounds, all brilliant. And so, having to act with them. So, days were pretty full on when I was doing all of this, but it did save us budget because I played a role that I then didn't have to cast.
There is loads of questions I'd love to ask, and I know I could come back to that sense. We are pushed for time in that sense of, I guess I think
we have some time.
Well, famous last words when I'm involved.
I'll double check, but
I know, did you find that?
We've got 7 minutes.
There we go. 7 minutes. That's enough. As I said earlier on, that's enough to put the world right. Did you find that an easy thing? Now, and again, I know when you directed Riverdale, you're in front of the camera as well. But did you find that for you when this is, I guess, maybe a more personal project for you? But again, you know, there is a team around you.
I mean, sorry to jump in.
DOP.
Riverdale is somebody else's project. You know, you're part of the Hollywood well-oiled machine. And you come in as your character, and then even as a director, you come in as a guest. You know, you're bringing someone else's vision to life. Whereas Holy Days was my baby, outside of the book, which it's quite a big departure from the book, and was mine for the last at least 5 years of rewrites, when you have all the notes from all around the world coming and influencing your story, and then being on set every day. And watching people like all of the ladies, Judy Davis, Jackie Weaver, Miriam Margolyes, and Elijah, who's brand new to the acting.
I did want to ask about Elijah.
Yeah. So you got all these different people saying the words that you've been writing and living with those characters in your head for years, and then they come on set and suddenly you see different things. You go, oh, that's brilliant. Yes, of course, that's how she would play it. And they have questions, and then, that affects not only the performance, but the next day's scenes. And then they all play off each other and bring this special magic, And what I think was especially wonderful was that you had these veterans of the stage and screen, helping and coaching and encouraging a little kid. And I think that it honestly brought out the best in everybody.
Because I've got to say, Elijah's great in this. He holds his own with, as we've mentioned there, not just yourself, but a pretty impressive veteran. I don't know if I would use the term veteran, but experienced, seasoned actors in this. And I know you've teased that a little bit, but talk me through, what are your memories? If I say to you now, talk me through the set, the film, the setup, when you have those type of characters, I guess. Those are particularly for our nuns, 3, Miriam, we think of Jackie and Judy. Those are big characters, I would imagine, off the screen as well as in front of the screen, mixing with yourself and with Elijah. What are your memories of that?
My memories of these, Judy Davis she's got that regal quality, and she's like that both as Sister Agnes and as herself, and she likes to understand exactly what is required and why. And as long as I can as long as I can answer those questions, and of course I can because I wrote it, which is wonderful. Then she is brilliant and perfect, and she just goes for it and brings little extra bits that I can only describe as X factor. And she's going to be doing an Irish accent, so we'll hear how the Irish audience reviews that accent. And then Miriam is a rambunctious kid in an octogenarian body, just as you'd expect from watching.
I love that phrase.
And she comes in every day with punch, She's got that. She's just waiting to launch something on you that's going to either floor you or make you laugh. When she first met Elijah, they had a lunch together, and I think she said fuck twice and farted, and he was in love with her from that moment on, and so they were best of friends for the rest of the shoot. And they were like the two little naughty kids in the back seat. And Jackie, for her terrifying portrayal of Smurf in Animal Kingdom, which is how I fell in love with her. She's the complete opposite. So she comes on, she's teeny tiny and sweet with those huge blue eyes. And she just said, I'm in your hands, she's committed to the script. So she believed in me. And we're friends to this day, and she's the combination of the four of them. And Elijah was wonderful and committed and very patient, considering he's like a 9-year-old kid in every single scene for 4 or 5 week shoot, and most of the time he was way too hot. He was in a snowsuit and a wig because unfortunately one of his family members shaved his head before we started shooting, so we had to put a wig on him as well. So he was hot and tired a lot of the time, and his mum, who plays his mum in the film, was an incredible support for him, and she's wonderful in her own right. And so it was almost 5 people coming in every day, and bringing all these very different energies, and knowing we couldn't we couldn't get it wrong even for a moment, because we were right up against Christmas. And so even one day lost would have meant the whole production would have fallen over. So talk about miracles, it was a miraculous combination of people and a miraculous flow that happened.
The challenges of independent cinema, and I think definitely from watching the film, you pass with flying colours. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting to yourself. As I said, there's loads of things. Maybe another time, the next feature will get you here to Belfast. We've just had the All Ireland Fla, so we'll get you here and enjoy some culture and get a proper chat. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Say Holy Days. It is out in cinemas from the 14th of August.
Thank you,
very
Jim.
much.
I really appreciate it. And yes, everybody, please take your friends, family, and 50 unknown people to the cinema and support this independent film. It will be way more fun than your average superhero flick.
And nuns, if there's and bring any nuns.
Funny nuns, naughty nuns, bad nuns.
Bad nuns. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
So that's my interview with Nat Boltt. As I say, Holy Days is out in cinemas now. I know we're going to move on, and I know, Joe, you have spoke to the lovely Brian Mulholland from Film Devour, which is going to be happening soon. But anybody else want to, before we move on to the kind of what's happening locally section of the pod, anybody want to give a shout out to anything else they've been watching recently? I think, Nicole, you had seen the Invite, hadn't you?
Yes, I actually really liked it. I have not seen Don't Worry Darling, so the only Olivia Wilde movie that I had seen previously was Booksmart, and for me this was a real step up direction wise. I thought that it was just, everything was stylized so well. It was really interesting to watch, and it was really dynamic and felt almost like a play. I am a big fan of like one setting films with a small cast that are essentially just people arguing for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is like everything to me. So this was sort of tailor-made for me, I think. This sort of confined space with people who have unresolved issues. I love it so much, and I thought the chemistry that all the characters had or didn't have was really interesting to watch, and the performances were really good. I will say they're never going to convince me that Edward Norton is sexy. They can try, it's not going to happen.
Or that Edward Norton could hold the charms of Penelope Cruz.
Absolutely not.
Woo, wee wah. What a woman.
Yeah.
I saw this too. I saw this in the cinema. I actually quite I like this. I don't think it's perfect, and I do think it's a welcome return for Olivia Wilde behind the camera. Her previous film, it wasn't for me. It didn't really work, and I think it's more infamous now for behind the camera stuff as opposed to in front of the camera. But yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it's got, without kind of the obvious issues that arise with this comparison, it's got that kind of Woody Allen kind of sensibility about kind of that pushing kind of the awkwardness about, two couples getting together. It's very much a comedy for adults. And yeah, now, Adam, Joe, have you seen this?
Yeah, I've seen it. I went to see it the first week it was out in the QFT, just out of curiosity. It was kind of like a last chance for me and Olivia Wilde as a director. Like, I thought Booksmart was fine. Don't Worry Darling's shite. I'm just going to come out and say it was shite. I just didn't like it at all. It was like, just trying to do this clever film. It's like Black Mirror in this here. It's like, it's not really. It's very straightforward and a very sort of bland version of a Twilight Zone sort of story. And I was like, it's doing nothing for me. But this here, I thought was fantastic. Again, going to what Nicole was saying, like this is like her coming of age, as it were, as a director, with the way she blocks scenes and the staging of the actual actors throughout the scenes is fantastic, and all four performances are great. Yeah, Edward Norton, he's not a sexy man at all, and I can't believe he was a fireman at all.
I can fully believe that he would give himself the nickname Hawk. Isn't it Hawk?
Yeah. But I do
that
believe it also tracks is that he loves rugs. That's definitely something you can picture him in and Penelope Cruz, I would gladly listen to Sadie with her. That was a wonderful little scene. But no, it's generally funny. But what she does well throughout the film is modulate between the humor and the drama. Like when with the more emotional beats, that they land very well, especially in the last scene. I thought that was a very nice sort of bookend for the film. But yeah, I didn't really have much expectations going into it because I wasn't a huge fan of Olivia Wilde prior to it as a director. But now I haven't seen him. Like, I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah, I know in front of the camera, I know she's going to be in I Want Your Sex, which I'm very much intrigued by. I'm just going to get the directors. It's Greg Araki, who did Kaboom, which I just adore, which is just this wonderful kind of queer acid trip of a version of Donnie Darko, which I think is a very young Juno Temple in there. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've seen it. I can't remember if I saw it at Edinburgh or if I saw it at Belfast, but I that film has stayed with me. I adore it. And anything that has Olivia Wilde playing a BDSM performer, woman, lady, mistress, I'm a modern man. But I want to ask this now, Adam. I know you haven't seen The Invite. I did want to ask, and I know I mentioned with our previous interview there with Nat about kind of dramedy. I hate that term, but how do you guys, without going into spoilers, being as kind of dancing around it, how do you take the ending? Because I don't think it's a happy ending. I think it's an ending of two people who have two different ideas of what's going to happen, going forward. I don't think it's a happy ending for our couple with Seth Rogen and Olivia Wilde.
I think it depends on what you sort of term happy, because I think they reach a point of understanding at the end, and through that understanding, they'll be able to be their own people, if that makes sense. That's the way I interpret it anyway.
Yeah, I'd probably say something similar. I initially sort of thought, oh, is this actually, are we okay now? After all of like the horrible things that they've said to each other, after everything that's happened, are we just going to move forward and pretend that everything is fine? But I completely agree with the idea that now they understand each other, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to move forward or that things are going to be okay or they're going to be happy, but that they see each other in a way that they were refusing to beforehand. So, yeah, not necessarily happy.
Yeah, as I say, I really liked it. I want to rewatch it again, actually, when it gets on home video. I think we'll move on now and have a look at what's happening locally. Okay, so this part of the show, as we've already said, we're going to have a look at some events happening, I guess, Northern Ireland, further afield, down south as well. I suppose as we go on, we can include. But kicking it all off, Joe, a couple of days ago, you got to speak to the lovely Brian Mulholland, who Jim McMorrow has dubbed the Terry Hooley of the local independent film scene with Film Devour. That is going to be back at the Black Box, and you caught up with him over Zoom a couple of days ago, and let's play that interview.
Hello, I'm Joe McElroy of the MI Scene, and I'm delighted today to be joined by local filmmaker and head of Film Devour, Mr. Brian Mulholland. Brian, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yes, all good my end, all good my end. I'm actually looking forward to this next edition of Film Devour at the end of the month, but for those who may not be familiar with Film Devour, and it might be their first opportunity to go to one of these events, just let our listeners know, what is Film Devour?
Okay, so Film Devour is a short film festival that celebrates local talent. I don't know how many years we're going, but this is the 37th event that we've held. So I think it's a good nearly over 10 years old. So it's essentially a short film festival for local creatives to show their stuff. Our criteria is as long as it's under 15 minutes, locally themed or made, and we'll show it basically. So it's an opportunity for a lot of first-time filmmakers who have their stuff seen in front of an audience, which I think is integral, and also established filmmakers, maybe some films that have been had a budget or production companies against them and stuff. So they all basically get shown on the night, and our lovely Devour audience vote on their winner. It's a democratic vote. That's for the Audience Choice Award. We also have a Director's Choice Award, so anyone who submitted a film that are there on the night can vote for their peers, basically. So long rambling answer for you, but essentially it's a showcase evening for local talent.
Well, that's the thing, ramble away because the more information, the better. I always find with these things. But I went to the first, my first bar was the last one that you held, which was number 36. And to be honest with you, I was a bit hesitant to go because I thought, oh, this is all just centered around, filmmakers or writers and that. There's like, where would I fit into this? But it was a fantastic evening where like people from all different backgrounds, got to the event, got to enjoy, the wide variety of films that were on display. Like it's not just a case of, it's mostly horror, it's mostly comedy, it's mostly whatever. It is a nice sort of blend of different things. For yourself, how do you think that's changed from event to event? Have you got more and more sort of variety in the films that you've been shown?
100%, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it. Basically, when we started it, I was a filmmaker and I had friends who were filmmakers, and we were putting our stuff on YouTube or Vimeo or something. Friends and family were watching it, but you weren't really getting that, basically, a bigger pool of people seeing it. So we decided to do a showcase evening the way friends who are in band will get other bands together and do an actual band night, come along and see new stuff. So that's how the nucleus of it began. And when we first started doing it, it's over, as I say, over 10 years ago, probably longer, but I'll need to check that. But everyone wanted to be Tarantino, There was a lot of guns. There was a lot of, I did it myself, white shirts, black ties, and it was very masculine, basically. And comedy was a big thing of it. So if I could say one thing is, as we've gone along, there's been a lot more eclectic genre ways and filmmaker ways. Thankfully, there's a lot more women, a lot more female filmmakers. Not this time, but we have had animation, which is always good because that, first of all, it's not something that I do, so I kind of gravitate towards that as well. But so ultimately, there's 9 different voices submitting films to Film Devour, which gives it that eclectic, basically feel. Earlier on, you may have got a lot of things, I hate to use the T word, that were involved in the Troubles, but I can't remember the last one that was themed basically around that, so Northern Irish based and themed, but it's now the themes of the movies are becoming more universal. And the other big change from the start to now is how the audience has grown in the sense of, maybe early on, a lot of people wanted it to be a night out, Now it's still a night out, it's still a networking thing, but there are people that will just show up who are cinephiles who just want to watch films, see new talent on screen, and hopefully, and I think we do, Devour cater for that a lot,
Oh no, definitely. That was the impression I got when I was at the last one. I was just, sort of curious to see, okay, well, what kind of films are our local up and coming filmmakers making? Because when you mentioned how you probably got a lot of ones about the Troubles, that was my worry about going to see it. So I was like, I don't know if I could be bothered watching, X amount of films about the Troubles. It's a topic that's been done to death almost in this country. But, it's not to belittle in any way. It is an incredibly important part of our history, but it's not something that, that we should be known for worldwide, just this event and that was it. But that wide variety is what really drew me in. There was one particular one that I remember. I can't remember the title of it, but it involved a bank robbery, and it was hilarious to me. And it just goes to show, the great sort of comedic talents as well as filmmaking talents in that regard. But in regards to this upcoming 37th edition of Film Devour, what can people expect from it compared to other editions, as it were?
Yeah, well, again, unfortunately, we try to do 2 a year, but unfortunately, real life gets in the way sometimes. And this is the first one we've held since last summer. So generally, basically, it's give local filmmakers, an opportunity to make work. So I would say that this Film Devour festival, this event, is, yes, as eclectic as always. There's a few filmmakers that have submitted before, but a lot of new faces, which is great, on screen and behind the camera. So you're getting those different stories again. But there's horror, there's comedy, there's drama, there's documentaries. They're all under 15 minutes, as I said before. There's ones that are 1 minute, quick, sharp, and then there's some that are 12, 13 minutes but feel like 5 because they're that good, if you know what I mean. So there's stuff that has been funded, and there's stuff that is basically first time filmmakers using over the counter cameras and using that to tell their stories, which is ultimately what filmmaking and first step filmmaking should always be about. So you would be in for an absolutely great night if I do say so myself. There are 16 films on show. It's probably going to be, we'll have an intermission halfway through so people can network. There is a bar open. There is toilet facilities. There is popcorn on the night. There's a real good vibe, as I say, that the audience is growing, and it's always a pleasure to watch the films with the audience, and you almost see them as in a new way. So it's the first time we're actually holding it on a Friday night. We usually have it at the start of the week, but we're holding it on a Friday night. So I think it would be a perfect start to your weekend. To come and support local talent. I think I'm really looking forward to it myself.
No, I couldn't agree with you any more than that there, because even at the last one, what I like to do at certain points was just gauge the audience's reaction to each film. Like I would literally just look around the room and, just the different sort of reactions, that people, just welling with. You could tell which ones were the filmmakers and which ones were their films because they were welling up with pride. And I think that's one of the best aspects of Film Devour is the chance for them to see their work on a big screen when you're in front of an audience, not just of their peers, but a general audience getting to see that kind of work for the first time. So that sort of leads me on to one of my last questions here in regards to out of the 36 that you've done so far, what would you say is your prize achievement in regards to Film Devour?
Oh wow! I'm just immensely proud of it. I went as a filmmaker wanting to showcase my own stuff, but literally, when we first done it, we set out 30 seats and 60 people showed up. It was a different venue, and then we moved to basically the home of Devour, which is Black Box now. We constantly sell out, and there's a new audience. There is, interestingly, after the lockdown, COVID, the first live one we done after lockdown. I remember looking out at the audience, and I didn't know anyone. Because usually coming up in the same circles as other filmmakers, you kind of knew, your peers and all the rest of it. It was a very, very young crowd. And I thought, wow, there's a new generation of filmmakers coming in, and they're using Devour to platform that. So that made me immensely proud, And I said to the Devour team, I mean, it's not just me, David Fleming, who does all the technical work on the night, and Roy Beggs does the door. My wife, who helps out with promotional stuff and does the door, and obviously is a constant support. So as a team, we were very, very much okay. Right, it's still needed because the content is there, and two, people are coming along, enjoying the movies, and leaving. Maybe met someone who will go on and do other things. I mean. Interestingly, I was going through old photographs the other day to look for something of Devour's and different Devour films, and Lola Pettigrew, the local actress, who's basically was in Say Nothing and stuff like that. She was in a really, really early Devour film. I can't remember what Devour it was, but oh my goodness, she was just an actress then, an up and coming actress, and there she is on the Devour screen. Now she's in, BAFTA winning TV shows, like the guys who done Fun Boys, Ryan Lennon and stuff. They have basically got their own BBC comedy show now, and they have started by putting things up on Devour. Not that I'm taking any credit for it, but ultimately that was their first step, as you say, to see it with an audience and to be right. Okay, we're on the right road here, because you have to. If you write a comedy and people don't laugh, back to the drawing board. If you're a horror and people don't jump out of their seats, back to the drawing board. But people were getting that immediate kind of feedback, and I think that's what more could you ask for, basically.
Yeah, but yeah, don't be modest, Brian. Take full credit where it's due. No, that's me. No, it's these events, that help create that launch pad for this talent. And like you said, it gives them their opportunity to sort of engage with the public with their work and their talent. So, you should take immense pride in that there. But I'm really looking forward to this, next edition of Devour. I've got my tickets already. My wife's coming with me as well. So, needless to say, give us the full details about, the event itself. Where's it taking place? When's it taking place? And so on and so forth. Let the people know.
Okay, thank you. So the Devour 37 takes place, as always, in the Black Box Belfast, Hill Street, on Friday the 20th of August, and it's at 7 p.m. So doors open at 7 p.m. The films usually start at 8 prompt. Usually have about an hour or so of films, then you'll have an intermission, and then about another hour or so of films. Afterwards, basically, we collect votes from the audience and the directors, and we announce the winners on the night. So hopefully, if it's run, thankfully, because I've got a good team behind me, it's tightly run, and you should be able to make the last bus home, but have had a great night's entertainment, So if there are tickets still available, selling well, but tickets still available. So please come along, bring your friends, and I don't think you'll regret it. But I appreciate your time, Joe. Thank you for that.
Yes, no, thank you very much for your time, Brian, and I wish you all the best with Devour, and I'll see you on the night.
So that's our chat with Brian Mulholland about Film Devour. I know when the festival happens, we'll maybe do a little showcase and maybe get a chance to speak to some of the directors and talent involved, and maybe get the lovely Brian back on the pod. Guys, anything else that has caught your attention or for what's happening here?
As of when this pod's out, I think the following week, Trainspotting's back in cinemas. The 4K re-release for the 30th anniversary. I've got my ticket to see it. I'm really looking forward to revisiting that one because I haven't seen it. Actually, I think the last time I actually did see it was just before T2 came out. Not the Terminator. I'm really interested to see what the 4K restoration looks like in the big screen.
Yeah, there's a couple of really nice 4K restoration. I've just got an email actually here today that I think the original Friday the 13th is getting a lovely new 4K re-release. I'm intrigued to see what that will look like, how we will see Tom Savini's hairy hands when it's meant to be is it meant to be Mrs. Voorhees, I think, at a certain point, and there's an unfortunate event with her head and it looks up and it's very hairy knuckles for a supposedly demure lady. But I do want to give a shout out because we just got an email this afternoon. Now it's from Lucille O'Hagan. Now she hasn't given me a name, so unless they haven't named it yet, but there's a new film club is going to be starting in Antrim. I assume that's Antrim Town at the old courthouse, and they are kicking that off with a screening of Thelma and Louise on Friday the 4th of September. So we'll try and maybe see if we can get Lucille on the pod before then to have a chat about that, as Ted barks. He's very excited about that. But Thelma and Louise, that's a good screen. If you're going to kick off a film club, that's not a bad little screen to kick off, as long as you're not a Brad Pitt fan. Or if you really hate Brad Pitt, that's a good way to kick it off.
As somebody who is a massive Susan Sarandon fan and also hates Brad Pitt, excellent. I'm there.
You've got Nicole's money. You have got Nicole's money. She will be there.
Wait, Susan Sarandon's going to be there?
Yeah, Susan's...
Yes,
I'll be there.
Of course.
Susan Sarandon, she will be there, and Nicole will be there, and will be as equally awkward and trying to talk to Susan Sarandon as she was the lovely Cassandra Peterson.
I actually think I could talk to Susan Sarandon much easier than I could to Cassandra Peterson.
I don't
know why.
I think if Susan Sarandon started to flirt with you, I don't know if you would. I think I would get flustered. I would get flustered. There we go. We'll not go down that legal note. Cassandra Peterson, Susan Sarandon, if you're listening, come and flirt with Nicole. I guess, I know we talked about this in the last recording. It's going to be at the QFT on the 31st of August. Lord of the Rings extended marathon. I'm intrigued by that. Bank holiday Monday. I can think of a good way to spend what, 12, 13 hours at the cinema. We have a lunch, we have our breakfast, second breakfast, third breakfast, fourth breakfast, and just watch the gay chemistry between Elijah Wood and Sean Austin. Oof. Will they, won't they? But that's that. Any guys, Joe, Adam, anything else caught your attention? Nicole, anything happened Cookstown way?
I honestly haven't seen very much happening Cookstown way. I have been trying to have a wee nosy, but there doesn't seem to be much going on. The main thing that I wanted to shout out is QFT is doing, this is a new release, so it is a slight cheat, but I've forgotten what it's called now. Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. That's out on Friday the 21st. I'm really excited about it. QFT are showing it. I think the IFI down south are showing it. Randomly, Omniplex Lisburn, I believe, is showing it. I am just very, very excited about it, and I think everybody should go and see it and give Jane Schoenbrunn all of the money in the world. Please and thank you.
And, Gillian Anderson, if you're listening, hello. What about you, Gillian? Right. Adam, you want to give a shout out to anything before we move on to the feature that the internet is not going crazy about yet, but will?
Ormeau Community Cinema on August 25th, which is Tuesday night. You can go see Perfect Days, the Wim Wagner great movie about a man that cleans toilets, but it's more than that. And then you can also get some soul food while you're there, some traditional food that goes along with the movie, and that sounds like a great time because the food's good, the movie's good, and the people that run it are good.
Yeah, definitely. We love Ormeau Community Cinema. We'll have to get them on the pod. Now, let's move on, wrap up this week's show with, drumroll please, it's the game the internet is not talking about yet. It's letterboxing. And now let me introduce our host, Adam Bradley Walsh Neeson.
Fanny Schmeller. Letterboxing, the game where you pick a movie and then you read out some reviews from that movie, and then people try and guess what the movie is from those reviews. You can pick a review that has the star in it to make it easier for people, or you can make it really difficult by just reading the funny ones.
Okay, so Adam, how we're going to work this then? We haven't really thought this through in the kind of grand scheme of things, because I think you just introduced new rules there. So are you giving people the option of star rating to kind of make their choice?
You just say easy or hard, and realistically, I'll pick which ones are easy or hard.
Okay, there we go. Very clear and succinct with the rules. Now, are we all guessing on the same movie?
Yes. Everybody gets 2 guesses each.
Okay, so I'm going to go hard. I'll start. And even I felt a bit flustered there when I said I was going to go hard. Pardon me. Right, Adam, give me a hard one.
This is for half a star. This person is called Adam Boltt. Lovely name. And they wrote, watching this on the morning of my birthday, so the rest of the day can only get better.
Happy Death Day 2.
Incorrect.
Okay. Who's going next?
Dr. Nicole. Do you want another clue?
Yes.
Easy or hard?
Hard.
My only goal in life is to have a kick-ass 80s party like the one these bitches had. That's by Leah. 5 stars.
80s party. I'm now only thinking of movies from the 80s. This makes absolutely no sense, but all I can think is House on Sorority Row.
Oh, it's over to Mr. McElroy.
I'm not going to lie. When you mentioned the first thing, I was like, is he talking about happiness? But it's clearly not. Can I have an easy clue, please?
An easy clue? This is a quote from the movie.
Oh.
Soup Kitchen my ass.
No, Sleepaway Camp.
Jim.
Damn.
Ooh, because it's my final guess. Give us another hard one. I'll have a hard one, please, Bob.
Let me see. $246 million worldwide. Our species does not deserve to live.
So it wasn't a flop. 80s party. I'm going to say Girls Trip, but that's probably not right.
Correct. Nicole?
That was actually going to be my next guess as well. Hard clue, please.
Hard clue. Let's see. I'm going to have to go to the next page.
You know it's going to be good when Adam. You know it's going to be good when Adam laughs.
2 stars. 2 stars. The Queen died 5 minutes before I started watching this.
That gives nothing away.
So that must be 2016.
This review's from 2022.
2020.
The movie's not from then.
Yeah, like did they just watch it at home? I'm guessing.
Because I'm kind of thinking the Queen did not die in 2016 because that would mean I've been working at Q Radio nearly 9 years. So it must be. Why am I helping Nicole? No,
that's not helping. I think of a movie that I hate just to guess something.
But what if it's a movie you love, Nicole?
That's true.
It's definitely not.
It could be though.
It's definitely not.
My taste is terrible. It genuinely could be.
Mine's worse. You definitely don't like this film.
Oh my god. Hold on. Let me look at my own DVDs.
If you have this on DVD, I will come to your house and burn it.
The house or the DVD?
Both.
All of the above.
I have it on DVD if that helps, and it's not Joker.
Oh, I do hate that film.
I haven't decided yet. I watched it tonight and see.
I literally just gonna have to put something completely random. I'm just gonna go Leatherface.
Okay. Nope.
For no reason.
Correct. Joe.
Okay, our last guess.
Right. It's not Come and See. Can I have an easy clue, please?
Any film can be greatly improved with the inclusion of Steve Buscemi.
Oh, Grown Ups.
Grown Ups
2.
Correct.
Yay!
So there we go. Joe McElroy takes the win on our first edition of Letterboxing, and that means, if I'm correct, Adam, next week Joe McElroy will be picking the film.
Yes, sir.
Shade.
Okay, so there we go. So that's that. So that's pretty much all we've time for on this pod. Hopefully you've enjoyed the new kind of revamped, tweaked format. We'll still be playing with it. I know we have in future episodes our definitive deep dive through the greatest Northern Irish sitcom of all time, dealing with the Troubles. We've got that to look forward to. I know Adam's very excited about that. But for now, all it's really left for us to do is wrap things up and thank my guests. So thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joe.
Thanks, Jen.
Joe, go you and watch the Celtic game, sweetheart. And we'll be back next week with another pod. But for now, until then, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.